Focus on quality. We all know about that. You know, looking at those for those international standards in quality, like the CMM standards, excelling at those, taking them throughout the company. Constant improvement, Six Sigma. These are very important things in the top Indian companies. A true commitment to customer satisfaction. You know, I think for a couple of decades, maybe 3, I've been hearing about, oh, we're customer obsessed at this company or that company, and I think a lot of that has been, lip service rather than real obsession. And what I see in the Indian companies is a tremendous amount of effort put into this in the way of, surveying, taking the results of surveying, going back to the client, improving on things. And another couple things is I see the Indian companies doing a really good job of looking around the world at other corporations and picking the best management practices, benchmarking against them, adopting them. And then I think the last thing is HR skills. The ability to do the kind of recruiting, hiring, training, and deploying of workforces. I mean, this is almost like these are military scale things that people are doing, and it's very impressive. But next chapter, The Empire Strikes Back, reference to Star Wars. Unlike the U.S. auto industry when confronted with imports from Japan, the Western IT services incumbents, for the most part, have taken the emergence of competition from India very seriously. And I would say after some initial confusion and dysfunction, they're adapting to the changed environment. And several of the big companies are really getting their acts together. In particular, I think of Accenture, IBM, and Capgemini. They've all shown some considerable progress. IBM has more than 45,000 employees in India now. Accenture has about 25,000. So, we see an industry at a turning point. Low-cost labor is no longer the great differentiator for the Indian industry because the Western outfits have a low-cost workforce as well. Reputation is no longer the great differentiator for the incumbents because the top Indian firms have developed sterling reputations for quality and efficiency, and they have forged those C-level relationships in Western clients that are so valuable. So the landscape has changed. While low cost and efficiency remain necessary capabilities and will be vitally important, there's a set of higher order capabilities that will separate the good companies in this industry from the best companies. And these are the ones that I think are most important. One of them, the Indians are already very good at. The Indians have shown that they can establish and manage their workforces in India. But now as they and Western leaders continue to expand in other lower-cost countries, the challenge is to replicate their successes there. It's not enough to distribute labor among low-cost countries. These people have to be assembled into teams, and those teams have to learn how to collaborate and hand off jobs smoothly. Software coding is a terrific skill, but even better is when you automate the process to code faster or to reuse code, lessening the labor component of an engagement. Research is becoming vital. It can bring a tremendous amount of value to corporate customers who need to innovate to differentiate their products and services from those of their competitors. And IT or BPO services companies need to be able to understand their clients' business so they can best leverage technology to streamline or transform them. Now, who has the upper hand? Here's why I don't want to, don't jump on me here, but this is where I'm going to say something I think is a little controversial. I believe the best of the incumbents still have substantial advantages over the best of the Indian firms in most of these key capabilities. In managing a large low-cost workforce, the Indians are out ahead, I believe. But when it comes to managing the globally distributed workforce with people in several low-cost countries and people on the ground in a large number of client countries, I think Accenture has the lead. In automation, including service-oriented architectures, I've seen studies from Forrester and some of the other market research firms showing that Accenture, IBM, these guys are in the lead. Now, interestingly enough, TCS, Wipro, Infosys are right on the border of being among the leaders. So I think this is not a place where the Western incumbents have a tremendous advantage. There could be no complacency from them, and I don't see any. In research, think about IBM. 3,000 scientists in about 8 labs around the world. And they're not just off in some ivory tower thinking up new algorithms. IBM deploys them with their services workforce out in the field on behalf of clients. And they try to do it efficiently. They try to do, a client where they have a certain kind of solution they need to create, and they need to bring some science to it. And then they can package that as a service and roll it out for additional clients. The other thing is the consultative aspect. Now, 3 or 4 years ago, a lot of the Indian companies says, "Oh, we're going to get into consulting. We're going to have business consulting." And there was some acquisitions or some other kind of very aggressive statements about what was going to be done. And I think there's been that initial wave didn't really work out the way people thought it would, and I think people have come at it in a different way that I actually think is smarter, really bringing that consulting and delivering it very close to the IT, so it's directly applied to the IT problems at hand. But I was talking to Chris Gopalakrishnan, Infosys president, just a month or so ago, and we were talking about what are the biggest challenges for Infosys, and he said, well, we've done this, we've tried to make our business more consultative in every way, not just by bringing in business consultants, but just to be more of the advisors and that kind of thing. And he says, only about 20% of our engagements would I characterize as being consultative at this point. So Infosys, self-admittedly, has a long way to go in this, and I would say it's one of the leaders, so that other companies probably have quite a bit further to go. So, to sum up here, I see a relatively healthy and stabilizing IT services industry in spite of a bit of a slowdown in demand for traditional IT outsourcing. Because of their low prices and aggressiveness at winning smaller contracts, the Indian outfits are well positioned to thrive even in a tepid overall market. And as they continue to gain capabilities and land some of the mega projects like we've seen, they're playing at all levels. Controlling costs in an India that's overheating in some spots will be a challenge. And that's true for both the Indian players and the foreign firms who are establishing operations here, running big operations here. But over the coming years, it's the ability to deliver higher order capabilities, and I've named a few, but you guys could probably name others that are just important. It's that ability that will separate the merely good from the excellent. So I'm going to ask Dennis McGuire to come up and speak first because he has kind of the broad industry view, and it might be a good way to get into things. So here we go.